I'm in a phone box
How are you?
in London. See?
That's
You see the
awesome.
red phone box?
Yeah, I do.
It's the only place I could find that was quiet enough. My fiancée is in the pub.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for doing this in a phone
Oh,
box.
sure. My pleasure.
And what I
Yeah.
guess is the afternoon for you over there, right?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. UK? You're in the UK now?
I'm in the UK. We spent the morning at Kew Gardens, and now we're going to the Tate Modern,
Yeah.
having a day in town. I live in Cambridge,
Yeah.
which is 50 minutes from here, and splitting my time between here and Brooklyn, and soon the road,
The road.
because I'm talking about the road. Yeah, yeah.
Back at it. It's kind of interesting. Have you found out that living in the UK has that like affected the band, the business of the band, the popularity of the band? I don't think the popularity is the right word, but like, do you find that's helped or hurt Not a Surf in either way?
Oh, it may have hurt a little bit, maybe not a surf. Me personally, like I'm starting to get interested in writing with other people, and I sort of have more going on in New York, but it's getting pretty interesting here too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I live in England to live near my son, so I'm happier because I live near him, and that's good for the band.
Yeah.
I think ultimately it's fine. Daniel moved to Spain like 10 years ago.
Right.
So
About
we're already Napoleon blown apart.
It's not a new thing for you guys.
No. I mean, it's been a long time since we had like and I'm sorry if I'm holding it to my hand.
No,
so
you're
maybe
fine. Yeah, you're fine.
Please don't be nauseated. Yeah, it's been that long since we had like a practice space that we went 2-3 times a week, which is something I really miss. That was great. And so it's really a different setup now where we're not writing in slow motion with that great thing where you kind of, you can hang out and like have a beer and tell stories or play or not play. And then once in a while we'll come up with something together and I'll go home and get really inspired. Now it's really more like this really like solitary songwriting experience.
Yeah.
Which probably has its pros and cons. I don't know. I think our records are maybe a little more focused or something, but they take longer.
Well, it's not a bad time to be out of America, I would say, because I think you're getting this really great outsider's point of view of everything that's happening over here with the madness.
Right. Yeah, sure. Although, don't you feel sometimes that you get an outsider perspective even living in the States? I mean, because I always feel like I'm on the outside anyway.
Yeah.
Even when I live there, from sort of Fox News, etc.
Mm-hmm.
It all feels kind of foreign.
The outsider's perspective and point of view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what city are you in? I'm afraid
I'm in Louisville in Kentucky.
Oh, right. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Well, that's outsider in a way, right? Because it's like a
blue town in a red state.
yeah. I loved Half Cocked, that movie.
Yeah.
Do you remember that
kind
movie?
of remember, like a little bit. I saw that a long time ago, but
like Rodin.
Uh-huh. All the greats at the time were kind of a part of that.
Yeah, and our squirrel bait from Louisville too.
Yep. In fact, Peter Searcy is still he's got a new record coming out I think later this year. Yeah.
Well, my first job working in a record store on Cornelia Street in New York when I was 17, we had that record Skag Heaven, which I played a lot.
Yeah,
it's really good.
Classic stuff.
Yeah.
And he's still we got all the good ones, man. Squirrel Bait and Slint and Bonnie Prince
Slint,
Billy.
Of course. Right.
And of course My Morning Jacket, Houndmouth are making a big thing. It's not a bad little music town.
I love that Superwolf record.
Yeah.
That is great. I'm a big Matt Sweeney fan.
Mm-hmm.
I love Chavez.
I hear that Will Oldham is even more mythical and legendary over in the UK. Even than
that's right. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, totally. He's mythical is the exact right word.
Yeah. Lost the picture there.
I hope this isn't too noisy. Is it okay?
No, it's actually perfect.
Okay, great.
It's perfect, and you look good. Yeah. And the phone book is kind of awesome. I feel like we get to do some kind of Doctor Who type of thing right now.
Yeah, it's bigger on the inside. It's
awesome.
amazing.
So we should talk about the new record. You Know Who You Are is the new Not a Surf record, which I know who I am, and so I assume that you're talking about me.
I am talking about you. I mean, it's an aspirational title, in the sense
I aspire to be the person you're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, aspirational, and this is something I said in a press release, but it's really it's a record about sort of crossroads and decisions, and I've had the experience in recent years of not always knowing what my gut feeling is, which is disconcerting because it's something you should be able to rely on, or at least have that choice to follow your gut feeling. And sometimes I don't know what mine is, or I've got two, and they're opposed, and then that's strange. And sometimes I guess I know who I am, but sometimes I don't always know what I want to do, and I hope that I do. So it's kind of it's ideally a comforting title, like it'll come, if you're patient with yourself and treat yourself well, your true feelings, whatever they are, will either appear or will manifest. Maybe they don't exist yet. That's the problem. And also I like a little double, triple meaning. It's also like that Oscar speech thing. I want to thank everybody, right. or the mean Oscar speech, which is like this movie was almost not made because of one person. You know who you are.
You know who you are. Well, it's kind of interesting, though. Here you are talking about, in a sense, maybe like finding yourself or refining yourself or having to come to terms with who you are in sort of way, and going through the themes of the record, because there are some strong themes that just come out, and I know that happens. When you're writing in a block of time, but. Like Out of the Dark, you're and I think I'm taking it out of context here, but you say,
no, go ahead.
Not everyone can make New York feel new, and work can turn out the madness, or however you say it. And that seems to pop up quite a lot when you're talking about it. In Animal, all will be well as long as you don't stop the clock. I think you even wrote in a Bowie tribute earlier about keep working. And that seems to be on your mind right now. It's like, I have to keep working. I have to keep going. I have to keep going forward.
Yeah, it's a great source of sanity. And not necessarily work for work's sake, but using your, pursuing something you love. There's another way of putting it, like living devotionally, but devotionally not in a religious sense, but in a sense that you chop wood and carry water.
Right.
When it's time to chop wood, you do that, and you just being engaged in what you're doing can be challenging, but it's so healthy, and it's so much healthier than the frittering that's so easy to do these days because we're overstimulated and we have too many channels on our phone, or just channels in our minds of different planets that we live on. You live on your physical one, and you live in your work planet, and then there's your social media planet, and then you're watching TV shows, and etc. I mean, that's all it's all a possibly an over discussed thing, but it's a truth.
Sure.
You notice how there's more articles about sleep than ever, and about sleep health.
Like how long you should be sleeping and how you should be sleeping.
And how to fall asleep, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, that's like a plague at the moment. No one's sleeping enough. But work,
that's true.
Well, that song.
How are you sleeping?
Sorry.
How are you sleeping?
I'm sleeping all right.
Yeah, that's good.
But I've had to work on it.
You've been reading the articles,
meditating more, and take a hot bath in an emergency.
Sure.
That song, Out of the Dark, is loosely about a Japanese phenomenon called hakikimori, which is it's hiding from the sun. There are maybe 1 million kids and young people in Japan who hide in their rooms. It's a culture with a lot of pressure and a lot of shame. So the classic setup is somebody will, say, fail an exam at school and feel so bad about it, or maybe not get invited to a particular party and feel bad about that and be embarrassed, and then just stay in their rooms, and the parents don't get help for their kids because they don't want to admit that there's the people on their street whose child has a problem. It's loosely about that in the sense that, you don't have to run around the park, you don't have to be some kind of hero. You could run around the block, just little. I mean, it's another one of, there are many baby step songs in the world. That's another one.
That's crazy. And I'm aware that exists over there. And I say that, of course, coming from just a different culture. Obviously, I was not raised in that. I don't know the reasons. But that's nuts.
It's
that
nuts.
much
It's
pressure
nuts.
can just lay on you for this. And you hear about these things, someone doing something happening in a warehouse or something that's not catastrophic. It just happened, and then they killed herself.
Yeah, yeah, right. And I think the circumstances around the world are conspiring to make that kind of hiding out a bigger possibility for more kids. You had like these video game generations, but now it's like video game generations that are also social media generations, and they have and the commentary that there are so many ways for kids to be mean to each other now. It's just ridiculous. So I felt like addressing that in that song, and also just work. When I say work, it's also reminding myself to stay in music because it's just where I'm happiest. My whole life now for it's been 30 years that every few months, if I feel kind of weird, I now know to check, have I written something lately? Because if I haven't, I should probably do that and then see how I feel. And invariably, I feel better. It's like the one place. I was just guesting in I went to the studio yesterday. My friend Ed Harcourt is making a record by Sophie Ellis Baxter. Baxter. And I was singing a little bit, and every time I always have that epiphany, this is where I wish I was every day. I love it.
Well, that and I'll bring up the official first single too, "Clear to See Cold," because you say that's like clarity in numbing repetition, which
clarity. Well, right. During moments of that. I mean,
right. That's what
Yeah. It's like
It's like that, and I get a little bit of that. What you're talking about, just having to get out there and do it, and it's like, oh, there it is. There's pushing all the rest away, And
whatever your thing is,
right.
It's an amazing feeling of landing when you start doing it. Especially I've done it for a little while, and you're like, all right, now I can breathe. Now I'm back. Yeah. I mean, for me, I love performing live, and it's not an obvious thing at all. When I was a teenager, the first few times, I was not born to do that. I don't want to be in front of people, but now I do. Because after doing it all this time, it's become like a second home. And sometimes when, especially on tour, when nothing is home, then I get on stage and I'm like, all right. It's like, here I'm on my couch now. This is nice.
Now it's time for this. Is there something different? It's cool. How is it working for you guys? Because it's interesting, all these things you're talking about, because you're on album number 8 at this point.
Yeah.
How do you keep the romance alive? Because it doesn't feel like you're becoming any less inspired by things. You're still finding ways to find your story, for the song or anything. But, does that become an issue? Like, how do I keep the romance alive? How do I keep this new? How do I do something new?
10% battery. That's okay. Well, I guess. I mean, I certainly am not of the school where you have to find drama in your life so that you have something to write about, because I think the world is a weird enough place, and just being human is a strange enough experience that I think it's going to be an ever like a fractal. It just keeps, every day is weird, and then you'll be getting old, or then the world's heating up, or whatever it is. There's always something, and then having children, you watch their lives, and that's like a whole new joy and feeling of danger, and and maybe writing about nothing would be fine too. I guess I'm just not worried about anything running out as long as I keep giving to it. That's the thing. I can't sit around, and I've never been able to. You can't sit around and hope songs will finish themselves. I think they'll always come, because that's like a nervous tick almost. That
you don't even have that worry. Like some artists have that worry.
Melody. Hey, it might not be a good one. Every songwriter's got that thing. You do a good one, and then you're like, oh, geez, when's that going to happen again? But bad one. I mean, I'm sure I'll always do something. It's just kind of like my nature. But you do have to work at being open to it, and that's probably like a relationship. It's like working at honesty and working at being brave with yourself and brave with the other person. So it'll always be a challenge, and maybe the challenge is that's where the fruit is. By accepting that challenge or something.
It's resulted in a really great record. I'm such a fan of this record.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy.
And there are other songs out there. I know your battery's running down, so we'll kind of wrap it up. New Bird is such a good song and an interesting story that you've got going on there. And Gold Sounds, which I thought, nice little maybe callback to Pavement, possibly with the title there. I didn't know.
Do you know how that came up? I'll tell you Did you read the story? I was at South by Southwest, and I was on the line with somebody, and Louis Lino, who's like co-produced and played a lot of keyboards on our records. And when I go to South by Southwest, I stay at his studio called Resonate. And I'm staying with him in line, and we're kind of bored, and it's late, and we're tired. And there's a guy next to me in line, and, you can just read someone's badge. And I'm like, hello, Nicholas, how are you? And it turns out he's a program director at KDHX St. Louis.
Uh-huh.
And we were talking about just, what we were doing for the next few days. And I said, I'm staying one extra day at my friend's place, the studio. And then I said, hey, should I make you a jingle? And he says, you make me a jingle. I will play the shit out of it. Pardon my French.
No, you're good. You're good.
And so I made him a jingle. And then he said, well, our music director's show is called Gold Sounds. It'd be really great if you'd do that. And so I made him a song too. And that ended up being that song.
That is
a 30-second version of that song. And I know it's ridiculous that there's a Pavement song called Gold Sounds and that we're biting that title. The song is named after the show that's named after the song.
Right, which is kind of awesome. That's great.
Yeah,
it's an amazing lineage right there. It's fun.
Yeah.
All right, enjoy your day, and
Thank you
and
so
put on
much.
your Superman outfit so you can come out of that phone booth,
Right.
as a real hero.
Maybe I'll just stay Clark for a while. I'm just gonna be Clark.
All right, Matthew. Good
All right,
luck out there.
Thanks so much.
We'll see you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Talk to you soon. Bye.
All right.